So let's bring you up to date with the pandemic. We've just heard that more than half of the European population are expected to contract Omicron in the next 2 months. Now, that's if infections continue at current rates. And it's the warning from the World Health Organization, which says there's now evidence that this coronavirus variant is more highly transmissible. The WHO Regional Director for Europe saying vaccines still provide good protection against Omicron. But because of the unprecedented scale of transmission, we are now seeing rising hospitalizations right across the continent.
At this rate, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation forecasts that more than 50% of the population in the region will be infected with Omicron in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Data collated in recent weeks confirms that Omicron is highly transmissible because the mutations it has enable it to adhere to human cells more easily. And it can infect even those who have been previously infected or vaccinated.
Let's talk to Naomi Grimley, our global health correspondent. That is quite a headline, Naomi. More than half of the European population expected to have Omicron within the next 2 months if infection rates continue at this rate. Are we seeing infections right across Europe continuing to go up?
Yes, we very much are. And indeed, Hans Kluge, who you heard there, was talking about a tidal wave moving from the west across to the east of the region. Now, one word of caveat, this region includes, it's a very large region, it includes 53 countries. So countries like Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Russia. And if you take Russia, for example, it's still only got 46% of its population double jabbed. So that is why they're worried. Vaccine coverage, particularly in those eastern countries, is still very sketchy and surprisingly so. So you can see how countries such as France and the UK are struggling. They're realising that means even tougher conditions for medical workers in those countries towards the east.
And what was the other significant things that came out of the briefing that we've just heard, particularly about it becoming endemic?
Yeah, we use this word endemic, which really means that the virus is sort of with us all the time. It's always there. Now, it's become quite a political hot potato here in the UK because ministers are talking about being able to remove all restrictions. They are hoping quite soon. But in fact, the WHO says that we are still, quote, a way off being able to say it's endemic. And their argument is that the levels of circulation just aren't stable enough at the moment. It's too unpredictable and there's too much transmission, certainly in this region, let alone the rest of the world.
I only caught a bit of the briefing before coming on air. It was happening just a few minutes ago. But they also seem to be talking once again about the importance of keeping schools open.
Yeah, they're really worried about schools. Hans Kluge said many countries will be unable to keep all classes open at all time. So he's warning these countries they need to get ready for online lessons again, but also look at things like ventilation in schools and making sure that there is more mask wearing. So it's clear that we are, a long way from declaring this pandemic over. And indeed, the officials were saying that was unlikely to happen in 2022.
Naomi, thanks so much. Well, let's bring you the picture in the US, recording a new global record for confirmed COVID cases in a single day. 1.35 million new infections reported on Monday. That is 30% higher than the previous record in the US. The number of Americans hospitalised has surpassed last winter's peak as well, increasing 83% in the last 2 weeks. The Department of Health and Social Services says about a quarter of American hospitals are now experiencing critical staff shortages. Laura Podesta from CBS News assessed how serious this current wave is.
It's a larger wave. New data shows that more than 142,000 people nationwide were hospitalized with COVID-19 on Sunday. That is more than the previous peak in January of last year. According to Johns Hopkins, more than 1.4 million people tested positive yesterday. And the Biden administration announced that beginning on Saturday, private insurers are now going to have to cover the cost of 8 at-home tests per month. This is impacting everyone, but specifically children in the nation's third largest school district, for example, in Chicago. Teachers are finally going to be back in the classroom today after a 4-day walkout because they didn't like how the school district was handling the surge in COVID infections. Students are going to be returning tomorrow. And this is a situation that we're seeing nationwide, but where you have students who want to have the right for in-person learning, but you have teachers and staff who don't want to be in the school because it can be a petri dish of infection. In Chicago, the teachers union in the city finally did reach an agreement over safety precautions around COVID-19, and it includes new metrics for when schools go remote and expanded testing.